So we've been talking about, I think Pastor Nick been talking about Ignite last week, and then it was about the fire, the passions, and all the things that's going on in our life to be more passionate to God and all those things and the fire of the Holy Spirit. And next week, is that right? Next week is Pentecost. Yeah. Pentecost is something that we are very excited for. We're going to talk about baptism of Holy Spirit. We're going to talk about speaking in tongue, the fire of God, and all those things. So be ready and stay tuned because there's some fiery preachings that's coming out. And tomorrow it's going to be fun and awesome as well. It's going to be my husband preaching. It's always awesome. So I'm just promoting the message. But I know it's going to be an amazing one. So it'll be awesome and good. Okay. All right. But anyway, tonight we're going to talk about a different kind of fire, different kind of ignite. Okay. Because a lot of times we get passionate about something, but we also can get passionate for the wrong thing. We can get fiery stuff that's not healthy fire in our life. Okay. So this is a kind of sensitive topic. That's why Nick said, I'm not going to jump in because it's not my kind of topic because it's not really, I think a lot of people in this life easily get offended, okay? But honestly, I have a very strong man in my life that it's not easy to get offended. He's actually quite tough. And I'm not sure about a lot of boys in here. And I have a few boys in the studio and a few boys that are watching. And yes, people sometimes feels like, like day-to-day's life, we always can easily get something that will stir us up to get offended, right? So tonight we're going to talk about ignites, but it's a different kind of ignite that we want to get rid of, the fire that we have to get rid of our life, the angers, and we're going to put out the offense. Living life without offense is very, very important. If we want to be on fire for God, if you want to be doing something for God, if you want to actually just really give our life to God full-heartedly, and the whole heart we want to give it to God, we have to get rid of the offense. Do you actually live with somebody that everybody in the, I think mostly girls, I'm not sure about boys, and a lot of the times the girls, we can blame it on the PMS, we can blame it on the hormones, we can blame it on everything, but a lot of times girls get easily stirred up with the spark, a wrong kind of spark. They easily get offended and they get upset with little things. If somebody talks something about them, or they just get easily stirred up for things that are actually nonsense, right? So this is the kind of things that we want to talk about tonight because we want to try to avoid that kind of fire, that kind of spark in our life so we can live freely, we can live in the freedom instead of living bound by the feeling, by the emotions and the offense that people maybe hurt us. A lot of times people sometimes talk something or people hurt us without actually meaning to hurt us, right? So we have to really realize the response. When people talk to us, people do things to us, we have to look after our heart, we have to look after our mind, we have to look after our mouth so we don't respond strongly. So this is the kind of things we're going to talk about tonight. And what is the signs if you're actually somebody that get easily offended? So anybody here is that easily offended, and tonight is the message is for you because we have to look after our heart to be as pure, to be ignited for the right thing, and to be passionate for Jesus, and not to be passionate for the emotional outbursts and the wrong things, okay? So our hearts sometimes can be controlled by anger, okay? So this is the kind of things that we don't want to have in our life. We want to have love. We want to be a kind of person that know how to love people like Jesus loves them. We want to love people like we never been hurt before. A lot of people, because they hurt themselves, that's why they tend to hurt other people. Hurt people hurt others, right? So you want to look after yourself that you don't actually have those kind of emotions and junks and angers and bitterness and bad feeling and sad feeling, because a lot of times if we do that, we cannot go forward and passionate for the things of God, because every time we would try to worship, every time we want to try to seek God's face, every time we want to do something, we always have this, in Indo, again, I'm going to tell you because I know a lot of Indonesians watching here, is we call it ganjelan. I don't know what's in English called. It's like a, your heart, when you want to worship God, you want to do something, but you know there's something just going in your heart that's just not right. It's just like a little blockage, a little something in there that just niggling and just not feeling good about it. And then every time you want to talk to the people, or every time that person is in that room that hurt you, and you feel like you can't go there, you can't do anything because you want to escape the room because you don't want to get hurt again. And you feel like, oh, I don't want to go there because I don't like that person. That person's going to talk about me again. But without you realizing, they're not going to actually hurt you again, because maybe what they did last time was not intentional, but because you're so easily offended. So every situation, every people you meet, everything that you do, you always get surrounded by, oh my gosh, I'm going to get offended again. Oh my gosh, this person going to hurt me again. Oh my gosh, they're going to talk about me. Oh my gosh, they're going to judge me. Oh my gosh, all this. And then you overwhelm your life with angers and full of rubbish in your life that shouldn't be there. And I've seen a lot of people that get stuck in their growth. I've seen a lot of people that get stuck in their walk with God just because they don't want to let go those hurt feelings. They don't want to let go that discouragement towards others. They don't want to let go those hurtful words from others. They don't want to let go all those things. And they kept it to themselves, become bitterness. And then they have that bitterness spirit until they don't even want to come to God anymore. They don't want to come to church anymore. That's how the enemy is going to try to rob, destroy, and kill you from people's opinions, from people's judgment, from people's talk, from people's anything. The enemy is going to use any single little things to try to kill, to destroy, and to take your joy away from your life. And at the end of it, they're going to try to take your life away. So they're going to use offense because it looks like very subtle. It looks like everybody in this life have the right to be offended. Because you're going to say, when you get offended, you feel like, hey, they're talking bad about me, so I should be offended and I should defend myself. I should stand up for myself. And sometimes and when you actually try to stand up for yourself, you're just going to put more mess into the situation. So for me, if people try to offend me, yes, we can be offended. It's a normal feeling. I'm not saying that you are a superhero, superwoman, that you cannot be offended at all, right? But when you get offended, remember, it's only going to be temporary. You have to just shift your mind straight away saying, okay, I get offended now, but I'm going to let it go. I'm actually going to put that away. I'm going to keep moving on with my life because you know what? They're not going to be in charge with my feeling. They're not going to be helping me for my futures. They're not going to be helping me for whatever I have to do in my life, but I have to be taking charge and taking control of my emotions and my angers and my all these things so that I can move forward in life. I'm going to give you some verses over here, okay? James 1:19. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. And in James 1:20, say, human anger does not produce the righteousness God desires. So what is the response that we have when people treat us badly? Do you think that we as the children of God have the right to do whatever we want to do? That's not the right thing to do, because you know what Jesus would do. Jesus forgive. Jesus speak blessing. Jesus doesn't curse. Jesus don't swear. Jesus don't talk bad about people. Jesus don't escape the room and storm the room out and just get rid of that person because that person hurt them. No, but Jesus is going to be loving, be kind, and is going to stand there. Instead of defending himself, he's actually going to pour out his love more. Right? And then I'm going to say it again. Matthew 22, verse 37. You must love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. And 38 says, this is the first and greatest commandment. Second is love your neighbors as yourself. That's Matthew 22, verse 39. So you have to love your neighbors as yourself because love is the foundation why we live this Christian walk. Why we do what we do. Because every time people ask, what is the purpose of being a Christian? What is the purpose of living this life? I always say there's two purposes, there's two commandments that God give us. Is to love our God, to love Jesus with all of our heart, to love Jesus with all of our might and our powers and everything that we can do, give it all into Him. And then the second thing is to love others as we love ourselves. Right? If we don't understand those foundations as we live this Christian walk and to become more like Jesus, then we're going to fail in the middle of the way because we start thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm start going to do this. And you get distracted by hurt, bitterness, and problems because you don't understand how to love others. Right? You have to love others and you have to remember that you're not perfect too. We're all not perfect over here. And if God can forgive us, if God can do things for us, if God can let go of our sins and clean up our sins and, died on the cross for us, who are we over here to stand to hold grudges about other people, what people do to us, right? There's few kind of offense, okay? I'm going to talk about the shallow level. And this is the kind of This is the kind of people, you can check where your level of offense. Are you easily offended? Let's say something posted in social media. Let's say their friends say something about something, all right? And then it's not really even directed to them. And then they get offended already. And then isn't that true sometimes when pastors preaching? Even I'm preaching right here. And you get offended. Oh my goodness. Do you know why? Because you feel like I'm talking directly to your problem and I'm unraveling your issue. And then you feel like this is hurting. And then you get hurt. And then you feel like I don't want to come to this church anymore because these pastors keep talking about me, keep talking about my problem. This pastor knows everything and going to reveal my problems in the public. But honestly, I'm not thinking about you at the moment. I'm thinking about how can I read my notes, okay? Because I'm not used to this, okay? And I'm thinking about how can I look at the camera and is the camera a good angle? That's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking about who's watching at the moment because if I think about that, 100,000% I'm going to get distracted, okay? So a lot of people get offended by with little shallow things like that. The pastors preaching, the social media, and the waitress serve another table first instead of their table. Have you ever like that? Yes, I'm pretty sure. If you're very hungry and you're there first, sometimes we get tempted to do that, right? Even I get tempted to do that. Like, oh my gosh, is that because that person wear a nice bag, wear a nice suit, and that person dressed up really pretty, and then they get served first instead of me wearing sneakers and just baggy clothes and looks like a homeless, and that's why the waitress doesn't look at and come to me, and you get offended because just little things like that, and you get upset. But you can't get upset to the waitress. Maybe you can. Some people will. Some people will approach the waitress and say, hey, I came here first 10 minutes ago and then you serve that person first because that person good looking. Have you ever seen those kind of people? They cannot control their emotions and their angers and the emotional outbursts just roar. It's like the fires, they just get lightened up and just lit up and just get, they just become like a lion. You get treated with some people because upset and you don't even know them. You don't even do that intentionally and they treat you badly because they feel that you treat them badly. Have you ever experienced that as a waiter or as a waitress or as a chef and they say this food is rubbish, blah, blah, blah. So that's a kind of very shallow. It definitely hits you. It definitely can hurt you when people do those things to you. But don't let those kind of things really ruin your day, rules your day because it's not worth it. They aren't thinking about you at all. You know? They can get upset. Even we, if we work in the hospitality, we get offended because somebody talk bad about things and blah, blah, blah. And then we go home and then we shouting out to other people because we feel like we had a bad day, so I'm going to squat it out to everybody else so they can wear it. And also another example is driving in the traffic light and then somebody cut you off and then you start swearing because that person took you over. So this is the kind of things that is not worth it. It's just so little issue that's the threshold of your offense. I can't imagine if you go deeper in your level of offense. If just those little things that people don't even know you don't know them, or they offend you, just imagine when we go to the next level of offense. What is the next level of offense? The middle level of offense, okay? This is not a rules, but this is just giving you a little outlook of how easily people get triggered and their fire get triggered just because of some little silly things. And the second one, a middle level of offense. What is it about? Maybe your teachers, your boss, and the people that you know, the leaders, or your friends say something about you and you get offended. The first one is people that you're not attached to, that you're not friends with, the people just in the public or public spaces or whatever. But the second level is the people that you know, that you relate, that you see, that you talk, and the people that you're connected with say something, right? And then this is the kind of thing, it's a good test because these people can test you really well. These people can start talking to you like, hey, your food today is too salty. And have you actually, think with your brain? And you are so slow in cutting up that vegetables. Oh my goodness, I could make 10 times better than you. I could cook 10 times better, tastier than you. And then you start feeling hurt because other people trying to look down on you. And then you can't handle that. Because a lot of times when people get offended because they have a lot of pride in their life. They can't stay humble. They can't be humble. They cannot be talked to. That's why they're trying to hold on to their opinion. They're trying to hold on to what they think is right, what they think is good, and they don't want to listen to other people's opinion. So the second one, people get offended because their friends, their colleagues, and their team, the team players around them. And then let's say even the musicians say, oh my goodness, Who is that today playing the bass? Nico, why can't you play better? Or sometimes I talk to Melissa or whoever and doing something, and they start, instead of dealing with the issue, instead of like dealing with the songs that is wrong, they start dealing with themselves. So they get hit personally. Is basically, you have to remember, when people talk to you about something, it's not a lot of time it's about who you are, it's about what you do. So then you can improve. But a lot of the people that get offended easily because they connect of what they do to who they are. So they think that people are attacking them rather than attacking and trying to give suggestion and opinion about what they do. Correct? So that's why it's so important to really look after our heart and realize if people give us suggestion, people give us opinion, and let's say a chef tell us that cooking is not that good today, and then you start think back and then you just really start remembering that foundation. We're going to love God and we're going to love people. Doesn't matter how many times people hurt us, people treat us badly, but I'm going to stand here, I'm going to shine the love of God, and I'm going to treat people well. That's the right thing to do. And then if people treat us like that in the ministry scenario or in the work scenario, you know what you're going to do? Instead of being hurtful and have self-pity party and feelings like I'm bad, I'm no good, and I want to quit this job because the chef said that I'm really bad cooking and I'm very slow pot and I'm like a turtle and I'm blah, blah, blah. Then if you start feeling like that straight away, then wherever you go, you're never going to succeed in anywhere because you're gonna meet another offense. You're gonna meet other people that's gonna give you opinion. You're gonna meet other people that try to improve your life, and then you can't improve your life because of that. Because you always try to run and escape, and you always have that self-pity party when people try to improve your life. So that's the second level of offense. So have a think about it in our life. If people try to give us opinion, suggestions, improvement, how do we respond to that? Do we respond with the right kind of feeling and right kind of response and attitude by saying, okay, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to evaluate, and I'm going to think maybe today I didn't have enough sleep. And that's probably why I put 3 times salt than normal. So instead of evaluating, this is the kind of people that can fail in life and they can't get ahead. Because instead of evaluating, you know what they do? They just sit back in their little corners and have a little cry. And then the deeper level of offense, this is another one, right? Deeper level of offense is when your close friend or your family or your spouse, oh my goodness, this is the one that's really, really bad. It's getting worse, right? When your pastors, when people that are so, that you trust, that they're the people that are going to look after your heart, the people that are going to look after your feeling, and then suddenly they say something bad about you. Oh my gosh, your makeup today looks like a dangdut person, like a diva that is from the zoo or something. And they start joking about something that is offensive. And then you know what? Sometimes people do jokes. And you got to learn and understand that people have a different character, different kind of level of language. And if we don't understand that and we expect everybody in this world to understand us, we're going to get hurt again and again and again. We have to be mature and start thinking, yes, we're going to learn to be mature. When people talk something and joke and do something to us, it doesn't mean they're actually intentionally trying to hurt us. They maybe just want to have a little fun. Yes, I can understand some jokes are not appropriate. So if you're the kind of person that like to joke and hurt others without realizing it, please change before you start getting a lot of, other people that have to deal with the hurts. But for those who get hurt all the time, I'm not dealing for those rude people, okay? I'm dealing with you, the one that easily offended. It's very easy. Not easy, but it's very easy. You have to think when people that close to you talk, you have to know the purpose, especially if your spouse. If you talk to each other about things that you have to change, you have to grow. If you understand the intention is for the better you, for the better us, for the better of everything, that there's nothing to be offended about. And a lot of times husband and wife can easily get offended because of that issue. And they feel like my husband attacking my personality, my husband attacking my pride, my husband attacking my egos, my hobbies or whatever. Maybe your husband just talking about things and then you're already overthinking about it, right? So there's a lot of way and people can get offended in the different levels. So we have to choose to forgive, to let go rather than being angry. So that was a different kind of offense. So I'm going to go through quickly here because I'm not going to spend a lot in this, but I want to see after all those offenses that we talk about and see whether you're actually one of them. Okay? And this is the signs of people that easily offended. Number 1, you guys all right with this? Are you actually hurting? If you are, maybe go and have a cup of tea and drink, okay? Because this is gonna get deeper again. Number one, you're often finding reason to complain. Okay? If all the conversations that you have with this person again and again and again, or even with yourself every single day, it's about venting about something in the job, something about the family, something about your spouse. Every single day, it looks like there is nothing good to talk about. It's just always something bad that you can pick something, okay? And you always on picking on something bad, you always do something wrong, and it's just really bad, okay? And when there's more bad than good in someone's life, it's time to look at the mirror. It's time to really sit and look at why are we complaining every single day, and what's the reason? What's the purpose for complaining? So that's the reason sometimes when people get offended, all they do is complain about their workmate, complain about everything without thinking about themselves. Maybe there's things that I should change. Maybe there's things that I should improve. And then they start looking at others instead of looking at themselves. Okay, the second thing. And they're often overthinking the issues. They take things personally, which we already talked about before, and they start to overthink some things. Let's say somebody whisper in front of you, and they're maybe talking about, hey, I actually I need a lemon drink. They don't want to shut it up because they're shy, and then their eyes is on you, and then they're like, I need a lemon drink, but they're talking to looks like they're talking about you, and you start ramping out and start feeling like, oh my gosh, my friend is talking about me at the dinner table. And you start overthinking something that is not there. And you start creating a problem that shouldn't be there. You start thinking, oh my gosh, now I'm going to lose a friend. I'm not going to hang out with this group anymore because they whisper and then they're talking about me. And when kids are very funny, sometimes kids can feel like that when they talk, and you can know, and because when they whisper, they don't actually whisper, they actually talk. They're really loud. And, when adult whisper, it can be really like hidden secrets, right? And then you feel like this is like the end of this relationship because they whisper. They're whispering about lemon juice. And you think that they're whispering about your hair. They're whispering about your job. No, you're overthinking. And you're going to overwhelm your nights and start thinking about stuff that shouldn't be thought about because you're just starting to think about all the negative stuff and all the bad stuff and all the things that are not supposed to be there in your mind. And you take things personally. So that's number two. Number three, we often get upset when things happen like that. For example, the whisper, okay? Instead of responding like, hey, if I'm a kind of person that very upfront, if I see that I'm not happy, you know what I'm going to do? Hey, what are you talking about? Why don't you share what's going on? Make them uncomfortable. If they're going to talk about me, talk about it in the dinner table, right? Don't have those emotional outbursts and then just start walking out and walking away from all those things just because of that. Have you ever seen people walk away from the dinner table? Have you ever seen people walk away from the room just because they think someone offended them, just because the conversation is not right for them, just because they feel whatever? But just remember, emotional outbursts is not just walking away from the room and storming the doors or doing those things. But sometimes the deadly one, the emotional outburst, is actually silent treatment. There's a lot of the new trend now, okay? They don't scream, all right? They don't walk away. They don't do any of that. You know what they do? They deleted your phone. They block you off. You remember that? Not remember that. Nowadays, that's what they're doing. They unfollow you. They make you block the social media, and just because of the lemon juice, and then they have those emotional outbursts that is not necessary, and then they start deleting your WhatsApp, and then they go home, and then they start closing the relationship off just because of the lemon juice, and they thought they get like that. So that's why emotional outburst is a very unhealthy response, whatever's going on. If you really think that person's talking about you, you know what you do? Go and ask them after that. Go and ask them nicely. Do you actually have any issue? I really like that people when. Not that I'm a perfect pastor, but there's moments in ministry that people misunderstood things and whatever, and whatever situation. Actually happier when people come and talk to me about it. rather than talking about behind my backs and all these things. I'm a very upfront person. And after that, say goodbye and I don't remember about those issues anymore. And we can get along as friends rather than holding those grudges, holding those problems in heart. I don't like that because every time you have those grudges, emotional treatment, silent treatment, or whatever that is, it just blocks you from the relationship further, and then it blocks you from, especially if I'm a pastor, so if you have issue with me, that it blocks you from coming to the bigger pictures that God actually has for you and your purpose, right? Because you feel like, oh, my pastor talk about me, my pastor don't like me, or my pastor treat me differently. And then that's the kind of thing that the enemy tried to put into your brain. And then the next one, this is number 4. And this is the kind of peoples that will refend. So the peoples that in here, they're going to give you refense. They're going to ignore you. The number 3 is they're going to respond. You easily respond with emotional outbursts, okay? Number 4, that which what we talked about already, with the response of the situation is trying to escape. Have you ever seen that? People trying to escape the situation. They try to leave the school. They try to leave the church. They try to leave the life group. They try to leave everything. That is very immature people. The mature people will face it and walk through the journey as a relationship has challenge, has problem, but face it and don't walk away with it, okay? And then silent treatment is actually not a really good thing. And I've seen a lot of people doing these things lately. They call it just block you off. Just block it off. And if that relationship is very toxic and that relationship very abusive, yes, we can talk about it, okay? But then if you're actually just a normal person that easily offended just because your friend talks about you, check yourself again. Where is your level of threshold of your emotional capacity to handle those things? And the last one, people that are easily offended, a lot of times they're insecure. Insecurity is one of the biggest signs of people when things trigger, when the fire sparks, when this fire ignited into their heart, and because they're an insecure person and they try to always cut others down to make themselves feel better. They always just cut you out. They always try to they get triggered a little bit in the conversation, and then they straight away cut you out because they want to make themselves look smarter, better, and I can do better. You know, like let's say somebody this is an example again. Let's say somebody offends you in your singing, and then you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna say, "Oh, you know what? Give me a mic," and then they're gonna try to prove themselves because they're insecure. So let's say I corrected, whoever here that's singing before. Let's say I corrected Finny. Finn, you didn't sing really well before, blah blah blah. And if she's really insecure, you know what she's gonna do? She's gonna go and get the mic. Phil, give me the mic. I'm gonna prove her wrong. And I'm gonna sing like a lullaby, or I'm gonna sing like a prima donna to prove her wrong. That's the people insecure. Because people that are secure, they don't have to prove that they are good. Right? Yes, I just say sorry. I just didn't really in my right mind today, and I'm gonna try to improve to get better next time. That's it. And then the need of validation from other people. They're always seeking validation. They're looking for their self-worth. And person that insecure, they eat so easily. Basically, this is the kind of person that is very easy to get offended. They didn't receive the love that they need from people, from their parents, from their family. So when they grow up, they really seek for that. So when you trigger them a little bit, oh my goodness, the levels and the threshold of the emotional capacity, it is just too high to handle. Okay? So that's the signs. If you're one of them or a little bit of them, I don't know which level that you can handle, middle, deeper, or the beginning level, but in my opinion, there's none of them is actually good. Okay? So we have to overcome that. I'm just going to give you verses over here as we close. The first one, forgive others as you have been forgiven. Okay? We are not perfect. No one is perfect in this world. Everybody can hurt people. I can hurt you, and Pastor Nick can hurt you accidentally. We don't mean to do that. We are like parents for all of you guys, okay? We never have any intentionality of hurting other people because there's no parents like that. If you're a parent, you understand. You want to give the best, and you have a heart to see them growing, and you want to see them actually going to the next level of their life. So there's never in our words, in our preaching, in our conversations that we want to attack you. No, we want to try to help you to improve your level of life and skills or anything. If you understand our heart, then you're going to easily just like, okay, maybe Pastor Nick didn't mean it that way. I'm just going to forgive him, even though he wasn't wrong, let's say. But I'm just going to let go of that forgiveness. Write down the notes. Matthew 6:15. But if you refuse to forgive others, your Father will not forgive your sins. Who are you to stand here to think about that I have the right to hold grudges and bitterness toward others, right? You're the ones that going to be rugila, we call it in Indo, okay? We're going to be the ones that can't sleep at night because we get hurt. Number 2, learn to control every emotional response, which we already talked about it before. This is just wrapping it up for you. In Proverbs 19:11, sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. Look after your response. Look after your symptoms if needed to be said. How you respond when people tick you off, and understand in James 1:19, my dear brothers and sisters, you must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Don't get overwhelmed with anger. People's gonna lose respect. I'm telling you the truth here. People won't remember. I'm gonna read it for you. People won't remember when you behave well, when you treat them well. They don't remember it. I do things good for other people. I do help other people. We as a pastors, we like to support and do other things that we can be a blessing for other people. But you know what? People don't remember all the goods. People don't remember what we actually do for them. They are actually blessing their heart. But you know what? When we actually ignore them once in the church because we don't say hi or we don't do what they want us to do, they're going to get hurt. So people don't remember when you do good, but when you do wrong and how you make them feel, that's what they're going to remember forever. That's why I want to remind you that it is not about how well you behave, how good you treat others, but it's about when you don't treat them well, is what will be remembered forever. Right? So your response, look after your response, respect other people. Just remember that you will be remembered as a God's child and the people that will shine for God's love, the people that will do things for God. Or one day when you preach, one day when you sing, people will remember that you are a person of integrity, a person that knows how to carry Jesus, a person that lives like Jesus, or a person that is just so evil and talk bad. You don't want that. You really want to shine inside your home, and you want to shine in the platform, in the church, wherever you go, you are the same person, right? So it's very important to know that you are called to become more like Jesus. You are called to live your purpose to become more and more like Jesus, okay? People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Just remember that, okay? Trust is built over a long period of time, but it can be destroyed just because you swear in front of them just on that instance when you slip on the banana skin, okay? And just, when you accidentally bump into something and you start swearing, you start cursing something, they're going to start losing respect on you. So look after what come out of your mouth, come out of your emotions, come out of your mind, come out of everything, because that's a reflection of who you are. And the last one here, cultivate love. Number 3, cultivate love in every thought and every action. Okay? Love is patient, love is kind, and it doesn't have any jealousy, and it doesn't have any pride in it. It's 1 Corinthians 13 verse 4, which we just released a song about love, about how we, really want to love on God. And this coming up Sunday, Pastor Nick going to preach about loving God, being dedicated, being committed with God is now until forever. Yes, we created that song that can be multi-purpose. We can sing it to God, we can sing it to our spouse, but it's very, very, very crucial for us to know that when we love God, we want to be more like Him. We don't want to have those grudges towards Him and towards other people, because then our worship can be pure. Our worship can be like a fragrance to Him. And don't become a stumbling block. Just because you can overcome, just because you are able to become mature, just because you are able to handle your emotional outbursts and you are not a shallow person in your offense, doesn't mean that other people can be like you. You cannot force other people to be like you. You cannot force the level to be the same like you. So what you're going to do? You're going to learn to understand where people's at, and learn how to control how you behave, how you make other people feel, and that's how you're going to overcome, and that's how you're going to get more and more useful for God's kingdom. Amen?